was almost a Jace type moment. He
Yeah.
was in the middle of giving like a little speech, and then it was just
Yeah.
like he just
I
gets
know, the
yeah,
arrows.
that
So
arrow
unexpected.
sound and just like that cut of the audio,
Yeah.
like right
Then
when he
that
gets
because he
hit.
had 2 to the chest and
Yeah.
that last one to the face.
Right.
It's like,
It was like, oh
whew.
shit. Alrighty, boys. So let's recap House of the Dragon a little bit. So, episode 5, we tried to record last week and our audio was corrupted. So, to preface, we're just going to touch on episode 5 a little bit. Not too much happened, not really too many big events. It was kind of a chilled, layback talking episode, a lot of dialogue. We did do a video on it, but like I said, the audio was corrupted. We figured that out after the fact. So, we figured we would just tack it on to the beginning of episode 6 here.
Yep.
So, getting into episode 5, let's kind of recap where we were at.
Theme of that episode was the gold cloaks. We
Right.
saw Ormond and his kind of like he was sending people and having people over there kind of killing gold cloaks.
Yep.
So yeah, then at the end we saw with that chilling message like a feast for traitors at the very end.
Yeah, the main thing was the whole start of what ended up happening in episode 6, which was the whole like dissolving of the City Watch.
Yep, City Watch for sure.
So,
Yep.
and also with Alicent and Helena,
yeah.
they were trying to escape.
Yeah.
They tried to escape King's Landing, and as they were leaving, they saw the Master of Whispers, Massaria, catching them leaving, and then they end up finding that secret tunnel within their room,
Yeah.
and they closed the door behind them and got trapped down there. And
Yeah.
obviously, we knew they wouldn't die or anything. We were assuming they were going to be fine. And Rhaenyra's Queen's Guard ended up finding them down there
Yep, down there.
in
Just
episode
guards.
6. So that was kind of like how the episode ended. But like I was saying, it was more of a chill episode. There wasn't really too many major things that happened. Like anything, there wasn't any really major developments. It was just kind of some shifting around, seeing people moving, a lot of dialogue.
But we saw Criston Cole. It was a lot on him. Like the beginning of the episode started
Yeah.
with him with that guerrilla warfare. They
Style
burned that,
fighting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
burned
yeah.
those tents and that the army, like the men in that one's camp.
Right.
And then it also ended with him with that speech at the end.
Yeah,
when it
that was really
cutting.
good. We were commenting on that when we recorded this the first time.
Yeah,
that
the speech
we
at the
really
end.
like when like Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon does that, where they give a speech and it's like cycling through different scenes and different settings
Yeah.
as the speech is rolling.
Yeah. Kind of him saying too, like he kind of accepted that he'll probably die soon in battle,
Right.
Which obviously we see,
Yeah,
which
he
we'll
was
go
given-
into later.
He's basically given his speech to his men about how they were basically just riding into their deaths,
Yeah.
like they were going to get caught. And obviously, we saw the development here in the beginning of episode 6 that came to pass.
Yep.
So
Then also Aemon still remains at Harrenhal, so yeah, he was with Alice, kind of continuing with those visions and like guilt he was talking
yeah,
about.
we saw those them trying to collect the bounty on his head. We saw the guys climbing up the top of the cliffs. She comes out there to confront him, and then Aemon kind of ambushes them and takes all of them out.
Then
Helena was revealed to be pregnant.
Yep. So and then Massaria found out, so
Yep, that was the main reason that Alicent is so
wanting to get out of there.
intent on trying to escape as fast as possible. That's why they wanted to try and get out of there. We saw them try to do it at the end of the episode because she's worried about if it is a male that she's pregnant with, that it'll be a contention to the heir and things
Yeah,
like
the
that.
throne.
And Rhaenyra will have no choice but to like either hold them captive or to kill Helena's son.
Yeah.
So
Then the only other big thing was Aegon. So he's obviously still traveling with Larys. And then
Right.
they end up going back to Rook's Rest, and they run into Tywin Lannister.
yeah, he
from
comes up and
the
confronts
first
him. He's
episode.
eavesdropping on their conversation.
Yeah, from the
that's
first
right.
episode, we saw him get kicked off the ship, and then that's the last we've heard of him. So
Yeah.
he obviously makes his return there, and then we saw Aegon also kill the leader of at Rook's Rest. That one dude finds the
Right.
crown they had in the bag, and then
Right,
Aegon
right.
stabs him and kills him. So
Yeah, that's right. He did get his revenge on him. Yep,
Yep.
that's right. Yep.
so yeah, that was pretty much episode 5.
Yeah, there wasn't any like major developments. It
Yeah,
was a lot
just
of
kind of continuing the story.
a lot of political
Yeah.
movements and just I guess I usually like to call those like setup episodes where
Yeah.
they're just setting up for big events in the future.
Yep.
So that was really all it had, just some small movements and little developments here and there.
Then the last thing was Joffrey ride back in King's Landing,
Right.
And which Rhaenyra like avoided seeing him, which was kind of interesting. You would
Yeah.
think she
Yeah,
would
and
be
we
all
saw
over him.
Yeah, we saw her see him in episode 5, but he had already gone to sleep, and then
Yeah.
she went in to visit him here in episode 6 as well. And he was already asleep as well. That kid's always sleeping. Drinking the what is it, the essence of nightshade.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so now we'll get into this week's episode, episode 6.
Yep,
just
just
came out.
dropped. Yep.
What were you guys' thoughts on this episode?
I like this one better than episode 5. I think it picked up the pace. I think it had some better pacing and bigger events, obviously. Obviously had a couple shocking moments like the Criston Cole's death at the beginning of the episode, just to dive right in.
Yep.
Criston Cole, shocking death at the beginning. We kind of foresaw that coming
Yeah.
with that speech as well at the end of episode 5. He was sounded like he was almost ready to die, or he was
Yep.
expecting to die. He was going to continue to fight until he died. You even saw Ormond say that to Gawain when Gawain arrived at Tumbleton.
Tumbleton, yeah.
He had said to him, like, so why are you here? And then Criston Cole still out fighting, but Criston Cole had already died.
Yeah, and then we saw Gawain abandon him at the end of the last episode too.
Correct.
When he was making that speech, we saw Gawain get out of there.
Yeah, he dipped out the scene. Yeah,
Smart move.
Yeah, it was a smart move because when he heard the speech, he knew, like, yeah, they're just basically fighting until they die here. So it's the end of the line for him.
And then I did forget to mention episode 5. We saw that Gawain like offered Cole a spot in Old Town to be like a service to his house.
Correct.
But that's when Cole was like, I never want to be in service again. Like I'm in service to myself.
He said, I've been serving people all my life.
Yeah,
he was like, I've been serving lords and ladies my entire life. So
and now I want to do my own thing. And
right.
We saw what that led to.
Yeah. I do like the way he went out there, to be honest. I kind of started to like him. He's been one of my least favorite characters in the season, in the series so far.
For sure.
But I actually have started to like him a little bit in these past couple episodes. I've grown kind of fond of him with the whole like guerrilla warfare and him giving that speech, and even in the battle here at the start, just before he died, I really liked the way he was fighting out there. He was like the Winter Soldier with the paint on his face, like taking people out, just soloing the whole army by himself.
Because I'm pretty sure this battle, like in the book, was called the Butcher's Ball, and this is like where that like apparently in the books it was like one of the bloodiest battles, but it was bloody for sure in this episode, but it wasn't like crazy. Like,
yep, you had kind of said it, Sean, as we were watching it. He had some gory kills there with that mace he picked up off the ground.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the stabbing he was doing, he picked up that guy's knife, stabbed that guy like 9 times on the ground. That was pretty crazy.
I'm gonna disagree with your opinion on like how he went out. I feel like it could have been better for at least him.
Right.
Because he kind of just got like shot with 3 arrows and then taken out. He definitely didn't see that coming.
Yeah, he could have went out more in like a blazing glory, like as they were all charging in. He could have had a Jon Snow type moment. Remember that shot from Battle of the Bastards when he had the sword and they were all charging him?
Yep.
He could have gone out like that. I just mean I like the way he was fighting up until the point where he gets shot. I like how he was just fighting and kind of taking out people by himself. He was getting busy there for a second.
I did like that shot of when it zoomed out after Cole died and they were rushing in. We saw all
that
sides
was sick.
like
Yeah.
rushing in.
It looked like they were just gonna like I thought they were gonna be able to start running, but then you just realized as they start charging in, they were completely circled around. They were completely surrounded. But yeah, that was pretty crazy. I didn't expect him to die right then and there. I thought maybe they would charge in and you would just see them all just get trampled and kind of overwhelmed. But yeah, he did. He got clipped by those 3 arrows. And who was the lady that shot him? With the face paint.
Yeah, I remember seeing her earlier in like an earlier episode, I feel like. But I don't know if we ever seen her like talk or like I definitely remember that her face. Like,
it was almost a Jace type moment. He was in the middle of giving like a little speech and then it was just like he just gets
the arrows.
That so arrow sound and just like that cut of the audio like right when he gets hit.
Because he had 2 to the chest and that last one to the face.
Right. It was like, oh shit. Yeah, like right when he got shot, I was like, oh my God. I thought maybe they would charge right then and there and then he gets clipped again, and then they shot that one right through his face, which was pretty gruesome. It went in like right under his eye. So yeah, that was definitely a gruesome death. That was definitely more gruesome than Jace getting shot right through the face, because you could see the arrow out of the back of his head too. Pretty crazy start to this episode. I like when they start with something extremely fast paced and shocking like that. So yeah, that was a good way to start the episode off, in my opinion.
And then we go into Daemon's kind of him like throughout the episode, obviously with the gold cloaks wanting a revenge for them, all them dying. We saw also all the gold cloaks kind of quitting on him pretty much. Yeah, giving in their gold cloaks because they're not getting paid and then they don't want to die either. So
exactly.
And then obviously we saw Daemon later in the episode kind of going undercover, and he ends up killing that guy. I don't know if we ever saw his name, but it was like the Master Whispers for that like Ormond's team. All those kids were like going to him whispering. So then obviously we saw him die.
Typical Daemon. He's on like his own little mission and his own little path. And I remember him saying at one point that his chance to rule was when he was in charge of the city watch and that he was like the Lord Commander. So
he did listen to Rhaenyra though, because obviously he wants to go to Tumbleton to like burn all those guys, all Ormond and his team. So he did listen to Rhaenyra. Kind of said like, nope, like you're staying here and like dealing with the threat within, which he listened to. But
when he was in the Gold Cloak outfit, he also beat up what's his name?
Ulf.
Yeah. So all those people were staring, so the Gold Cloaks got even worse rep now.
Exactly. Yeah, that was definitely not a good look.
Yeah, we saw Ulf earlier in the episode, like him and Hugh were talking, and he was like, she stripped him. He couldn't go to taverns anymore and everything.
I'm telling you, like Ulf and Hugh Hammer, I just don't. Ulf seems a little bit more flaky to me than Hugh Hammer, obviously, but
we saw Hugh this episode, which we'll get into.
Yeah, but Ulf just seems way too flaky for me. I feel like at some point he's either going to get killed, like his stupidity is going to get him killed, or he's just going to completely defy because he doesn't like being like ruled over. I think he almost likes being like a member of the common folk.
Yeah, we saw that's how we met him too. He was in those taverns, like
Right.
being in the center of attention.
Yeah, and that's what he was telling Hugh up on the hill, that he was saying that he hasn't got to see any of his friends, and he just kind of wants to be able to hang out and go to the taverns and stuff, and live like a casual life. He doesn't. I think he was enjoying it at first, like being a dragon rider and like the money and stuff that was coming with it. But now I don't think he's enjoying it as much. And he wants to be able to show off the dragon to his friends. He did say that. Yeah, he's just gonna divert more and more and more, especially after this little interaction with Daemon in the streets.
Yeah,
I feel like he'll end up either doing something that's gonna get him killed, like returning to the taverns, but I just feel like he's going to continue to defy what Rhaenyra and them tell him to do.
Especially after Daemon just slapped him in
exactly.
the middle. So
right. Yep, 100%.
Yeah, we can kind of get into Hugh. This episode a lot more kind of focused on him. We end up seeing him talking to Ulf, like we said, and then obviously he ends up kind of going into the city and to Tumbleton to meet his wife, which obviously didn't turn out the way I think he hoped.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, because he snuck into Tumbleton. We saw him attack that guy with his cart.
Yeah.
And then he took his clothes and was able to disguise himself to go in. And now I thought what was going to happen initially as we were watching that. Now I guess it could still technically happen in some sort of way, because we didn't see him leave.
Yeah.
So we didn't see him make it out of there safely. But when we were watching the episode, I figured, since we had just seen Daemon getting on Ulf for trying to for being in the city and not staying in the Red Keep and kind of defying their authority in a way, because then it jumped straight over to Hugh going to visit his wife and doing exactly what they told them not to do. So I was like, oh, we thought Ulf was going to be the one to defy their authority and get into trouble or get killed, but then now maybe it'll be Hugh. Like he'll go in to visit his wife, and we saw them kind of arguing in the streets, kind of catching the attention of some of the people around and some of the guards and stuff. So I was like, wow, he was just getting on Ulf for doing it. Now maybe Hugh will end up being the one that gets killed doing the same thing.
Yeah. Then the next was Aemond, him and Alice at Harrenhal, which we did see by the time that, like, the last scene of him, they were leaving. They were end up killing that horse, like,
the stable boy.
Boy.
Yeah.
So they're on the move now. So we'll see what happens to them.
And we got a romance developing between the two of them.
Yeah.
We saw them kissing. Yep.
5 dragon eggs.
Yeah. That's right. That's that was like the main thing I wanted to bring up, was that she had like 5 dragon eggs stashed there. Which would make it an even fight, because didn't they say Rhaenyra has 6 dragons?
6, yeah.
Now obviously it would take years for them to hatch and develop into like
decent sized dragons.
To be able to fight with, because right now it's kind of like Vagar, like 1 on 6.
And then you got Darren's, that's like the blue
the smaller one.
He's like decent size. Like he's like small, but he's not near as big as like a full adult size one.
Do you guys think 3 of those 5 are for Daenerys?
Could be.
I don't think so. Weren't they other colors?
Don't they say they take like hours or years to hatch? Like
I think so. But weren't they other colors with Daenerys? Those were all like gray.
Yeah, but they were gray because I think maybe they've been stored away. I don't know. Yeah, because Daenerys's were red, green, and like orange, right? Or like a yellowish color.
Yeah.
But Aemon did say it was Dreamfire. Like when she showed the eggs, he said Dreamfire, which is, I believe, Helena's dragon. She has that, which we haven't seen her really ride.
Yeah, we could touch on Rhaena for a second too, because we see Rhaena at the Vale, because she's still just like surviving up in that cave, eating berries with Sheep Stealer.
Yeah, she saw those 2 dragons from afar, which she believed one was her sister.
Yep, so, which it was Baela. Oh, and then speaking of love stories developing, we saw Baela and Alan of Hall, which I did not see that coming.
Yeah, I know. What is their relationship?
They have brothers and sisters?
Well, Corlys is her grandfather.
Is he her like great uncle or something?
Yeah, I think so. It's a another weird relationship. Corlys is Alan's dad, and then she's Corlys's granddaughter. So I don't know. It's some weird, like, I think it is like step uncle or half uncle or something. And then we saw a lot more of Corlys this episode. He's been kind of doing his own thing the last couple episodes, and then by the end, we see him kind of get ambushed by Ormond's forces there. I believe that was his vest. I feel like it had to be that. We saw Rhaenyra read. It said about the dog, like killing or for
it said something about if you kick this dog or something. Yeah, beware or something like that. Some kind of threatening message with blood on it.
Yeah, which it's got to be Corlys's vest, I think.
I would assume. Yeah. Because it jumps straight to a shot of Corlys, and that's usually how they do things when they plant little seeds here and there. They'll jump to a scene showing that character that they might be hinting
was from
at.
Tumbleton,
right?
Like the guard that gave it to Rhaenyra. So
like it was it's a rider from Tumbleton. It dropped it off. Had delivered it. That's what we were kind of touching on before we jumped to Baela, was Rhaena going into the Vale. They were using the moon door.
Yeah,
then
we didn't see, but we saw like one guy like get pushed out.
Yeah,
we just heard him
heard the screaming on the way down. Yeah, and she slapped Rhaena.
Yeah, because she kind of promised she would just let her like live around the Vale just for like harboring.
Yeah,
her
kind of
just
be in hiding. Yeah. She's obviously supposed to be hiding out in secret, but
She said she went to that city to find her sister, but they were
correct.
already gone.
Yeah, she saw them riding off, so she went there. Yeah.
The only other thing I can think of is Rhaenyra said she sent Allison out at the end,
correct,
to kind of go find Aemond.
Right, because the big thing was we were trying to figure that out as we were watching the episode. We saw Helena. She was sewing. She was sewing like what looked like an image of Aemond.
Yeah, because I saw that blue like.
Now at first, it almost looked like a I could be wrong. I'd have to see it again closer, but I thought she was sewing like a picture of a baby. Because didn't it look like he was cradled up, almost like an image of like an ultrasound? Isn't that kind of what it looked like?
A coffin, maybe.
Yeah, it kind of looked something like that. Like it was like cradled up, but then it had long blonde hair with like one blue eye. So then we assumed it was Aemond.
And then that's how, because Allison saw that, and then later she's like, "I know where Aemond is."
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of like
she,
told her.
she knew he was at Harrenhal. So I don't know if there was something in that picture that gave away that it was Harrenhal. I'm not sure, or unless she asked her about it off screen and they didn't show that. I'd have to get a closer look at that, what she was sewing. But yeah, it definitely looked like Aemond with the one blue eye.
Yeah.
And it does tie into him being there because we saw him in that bed without his eye patch on and his one eye. He was like sleeping and his one eye was closed. And obviously,
and that's when he saw Vagar, like Vagar's eye too in that dream. He was having a nightmare.
As you were saying, Rhaenyra is sending out Alicent because now Rhaenyra is going to play a game to try and get Aemond killed by using somebody that he trusts against him.
Yep.
So she's going to send Alicent out to try and bait Aemond.
Yep, that's going to be interesting. But we got 2 episodes left, so
true.
Yep, I think that Battle of Tumbleton will be coming
next
here.
episode. Yeah.
Next episode, you think of the? I could see it start next episode.
I would say, I'd say next episode because they usually like to do that, don't they? Didn't they do like Battle of the Bastards like second to last episode?
House of Dragon, have they really done that?
And I think they did that in season 2 of Game of Thrones, the Battle of Blackwater Bay. I think it was the second to last episode.
Yeah.
So usually they like to do the big battles and stuff second to last episode.
Then another thing was Gwaine at Tumbleton. Remember those Baratheon like assassins came in to try to kill Darren and Ormond. And
that was weird right from the jump.
Yeah.
Right from the jump they came in.
Knew kind of
you had mentioned too, right when they walked in, like, they've got all their weapons on them, and they were kind of clutching their swords like they were ready to draw at any second.
God, then we saw Ormond.
That was a weird vibe. Yeah, and Ormond, they talked about how he was
odor,
had a weak stomach to the scents and stuff. So it looked like
he knew right away because the sound was weird when those guys walked in. It was kind of like white noise.
It was like an eerie vibe when they came in. So and we saw him end up throwing up all in his drink. So
Jesus.
Alrighty, guys, that is going to be our re-review of episode 5 and our review of episode 6. Come back next week for our review of episode 7. We appreciate you guys watching. Please leave a thumbs up down below.
Peace.